What's up, guys? This is Derek from moreplates.moredates.com. Today we're going to be doing the, week 5 and 6 updates for the vertical diet. Actually, what was my last one? I think it was week... Oh, yeah, it was up to week 3. So this would be week... I don't even know. I'm almost up to week 6. I know that. So this is 4, 5, and a bit of almost 6. So let's just say 4 to 6 is close enough. By the time this video is uploaded, it'll have been 6 for sure. So basically up to now, I talked a lot about body temperature, thyroid, appetite, general kind of things I can assess myself through just my own, personal judgments of how my body responds to stuff because I know it quite well. And body temperature, it's tough to say because when I wake up, it's so low. It's like still 95. But then as I eat throughout the day, it started to jump up closer to sort of low 97s, which is good. That's very good for me, especially. But I'm still waking up at those really low initial readings. So it makes me question if it has to do with that, if it's just normal for me or based on the blood work, which I'm going to get into, it's not normal. So I can see why my body temperature is still low because my thyroid's actually sluggish right now. But at the same time, I'm not sure if it's as absurdly low as I was perceiving it to be. I'm thinking it might just be my house being very cold in the room I sleep in, coupled with also having low thyroid function. So it's kind of like a combination of the two. Whereas, because there was actually a couple nights I did crank the furnace on purpose just to see what would happen when I woke up if I'd still have those super low readings. Because obviously, you can assume such and such a factor equates to this, but you have to take environmental factors into consideration too. And when I did crank the furnace, I did wake up with a 96.2 body temperature, which is still not, super high by any means, but it's a bit more reasonable than borderline hypothermic or legitimately hypothermic. With that being said, though, I don't think I should be hypothermic even if my furnace is low. You know what I mean? So, anyways, getting into the blood work. So, I'm going to put up my baseline blood work. Actually, I'm going to go even further than that back. I'm going to show you guys what my thyroid looked like when I was taking exogenous thyroid hormone to make it super physiological on purpose via synthetic means. So, this is what it looked like when... let's see, what was the date on this? Okay, I'm going to show you guys July 10th, 2017. This is in the middle of me going hard on thyroid. So this, you can see here, my TSH is less than 0.01 milliunits per liter. So that's it's not even readable because it's so low. And the reason the TSH is so low, or also T4 is, just so you guys see that, it's 5.7 picomoles per liter, and that is absurdly low. The range is 10.6 to 19.7 where I live. Obviously that range is going to vary, but regardless of where you live, that's going to be abnormally low, crashed, or pretty crashed. The reason for that is because my T3 was so hyperthyroid that my endogenous production had completely shut off. So my body had no need to produce TSH anymore, which is the stimulating hormone that creates T4, which thereby, converts into T3. My body sensed there was so much exogenous T3, it stopped producing TSH completely, which in turn crashes the T4 because you have so much T3. So on the blood work, it just looks like you're super hypothyroid to somebody who wouldn't know how to interpret it, but in reality, you're super hyperthyroid, and that's why you have to see the T3 levels too, which most doctors won't tell you. But anyways, So that's what it looked like when I was taking it wasn't even a stupid amount. I think I was on like 50 micrograms. But for somebody that has a decent functioning thyroid normally, I say decent. I don't know about good, but decent. That'll put you hyperthyroid typically. Fast forward to, let's see. It's just loading. Fast forward to pre-vertical diet. So September 15th, 2018. So this is after I made a decision to drop thyroid after like over a year of continuous use. I was on a bit of Synthroid and a bit of T3 at the same time. And it was probably about, like the dose varied throughout that year of abusing thyroid in general. But at the tail end of it, it was about 75 micrograms of Synthroid, which is T4, pharma grade. And then I think it was like 25 micrograms of T3. It was research chem T3. It wasn't from the pharmacy or anything, but it was legitimate, that's for sure. So anyway, so came off and I got bloods done a few weeks after that, and they came back as my TSH was 1.37 milliunits per liter. So to me, that looked like that's not a bad score. Okay, first of all, in Canada, it's really stupid, and typically, I don't know what it's like in the States, but it's like if your TSH is in range, they won't test your T4. And even if your TSH is out of range and they test your T4, if your T4 is out of range, they still won't test your T3 unless you go out of your way to pay for it. So, yeah, they just don't know what they're talking about and how the body works, unfortunately. But on this test, they actually canceled my T4 and T3, which I was trying to get. So unfortunately, I don't have a T4 and T3 baseline to go off of, but I have a TSH reading, which is indicative of what's going on still from how I know my body in the past in regards to thyroid hormones. So TSH of 1.37, to me, after somebody coming off of T3 for over a year of continuous use, that would either indicate A, that I recover insanely quick, or B, my body just hasn't crashed enough to the point where my TSH is spiking even more. So my kind of theory was, if I just had T3 in my system, I would assume that this was kind of like a true indicative reading of what's going on. But because Synthroid has such a long half-life, I believe the half-life's like a week, I felt like my body hadn't really gone into that panic mode yet of having absolutely nothing in its system, exogenous. So I was assuming it was going to get a bit worse after that point. So a 1.37 isn't a bad score by any means. It's not optimal in my opinion, but it's not bad for somebody who just came off of years of abuse of thyroid. So anyway, I was just taking that at face value, and I was going to, I have a baseline reading to go off of, which is going to help me interpret the results, throughout the vertical diet. So throughout the entirety of it, I didn't feel like stark highs or lows or anything like that. It was more like everything's been consistent. Like my body temperature has been consistently low. However, I still keep fat off fairly easily, but I attribute that more so to my body composition, which, in turn you would think, well, you have like suboptimal thyroid function that you would, pack on fat easier. I think I have enough going where my metabolism of the amount of muscle tissue I'm holding is burning up enough of the calories, so I'm not just becoming a fat lord, and I still exercise a decent amount. The diet's clean, obviously, and everything's kind of engineered to maximize what you're working with. So fortunately, I didn't seem to pack on like a bunch of fat or have a thyroid rebound, despite what I was really worried about. It seemed like I didn't really rebound at all, actually. despite the bloods indicating thyroid stress. And that's what I'm going to get into with my most recent reading, which is what I just had done the other day. And this time I made sure to pay myself to get a T3 reading separately because, the stupid medical services plan covered lab work won't cover it. So, or they'll try and avoid even giving it to you when it's put on your requisition form. So I had to make sure I could pay for it totally separately and have it ensure that I would get it. So this time I got this done October 27th, which was 2 days ago. Maybe not when the date of this video is released, but right now it's the 29th of October. So you can see here my TSH is now 3.02 milliunits per liter as opposed to before the 3 something score. So my TSH is almost doubled. Actually, my TSH is over doubled. So, and then T4, of course, they don't show that because this lab work's stupid and my TSH was in range. So the free T4 was canceled. Smart guys over there. But fortunately, I paid for the T3 separately, so I was able to see that, which is more what I care about anyways, because T4 is just a precursor hormone. So T3 free, 3.25 picomoles per liter, which I don't know what the unit of measurement is for your guys' blood work wherever you live, but you can just plug it into a conversion calculator on Google and you'll be able to see what it is. So basically the range on my blood work is, let's see, it's 3 to 5.9 picomoles per liter, and I'm at 3.25. So pretty much at the very low end of normal. So I'm not low, but we all know how general these hormone ranges are. Like when it comes to testosterone, you could have a 400 or a 300 even, and they'll tell you, oh, you're fine. Even though you're 21 years old, you shouldn't have a 320 nanogram per deciliter test level. You know what I mean? So same goes for thyroid, in my opinion, despite being in this normal range of 3 to 5.9, 3.25 is not ideal. It's not where I want to be. I want to be at, 5 plus at least, if not closer to 6. 6 would be ideal. So I'm kind of in a somewhat of a predicament where I'm 6 weeks into the vertical diet. I should be recovering for the most part. I should be, I would say, back to whatever my homeostasis is off of thyroid. So I don't know. The whole diet's pretty much optimized. There's nothing more I can improve that's going to increase my thyroid output at this point. I'm having maxed out dose of iodine, getting sleep, getting, tons of your micronutrients in. I'm hitting every single micro need exactly. I'm exercising. I'm getting my recovery, my rest. Not too stressed. I don't know. I'm going to have to give it a bit more time and see what happens, but hopefully it improves because clearly the reading is worse than when I had it done at my baseline reading. Despite my energy levels and fatigue being lower. So I do feel better. I do feel more energetic than I did at the start of the diet. I attribute that more so to the favorable macronutrient allotments and the food choices made in the diet as opposed to the hormone levels themselves, though. I don't necessarily think my thyroid's better, and obviously the labs indicate they're not and they're worse. That's not the fault of the diet, though. That's the fault of me having been on thyroid hormone for a year and a half straight. So 6 weeks in, perhaps it's still in the process of upswing and it's going to get better from here, but I'll get more blood work in another probably 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll see from there, and I'll get it checked again. The reason why I'm going to do it so soon instead of waiting a month or 2 months is because of this next blood reading that I'm going to lay out to you now, which is super concerning. So, lipids. Lipids. This is the thing that I was most, like, obviously thyroid was one of the main concerns of my goals of the diet, but when I went into this vertical diet, I was very wary of all the red meat and the eggs and the blah, 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 and all the stuff that, all the fats and cholesterol that was not in my diet previous. And when it comes to the vertical diet, the thing is like, there's definitely, from what I can tell, there's definitely a priority towards, like, there's two different sides of a spectrum. There's like what's optimal for muscle gain, recovery, strength, size, just maxed out performance. And then there's what's best for cardiovascular health. And unfortunately, the two aren't in the same like league of food choices a lot of the time. You know what I mean? So when I'm having like dextrose and fructose post workout, I'm having like fructose with my meals to stimulate metabolism and stuff like that. And I'm having all these things that can lead to inflammation of the arteries. And, I don't know enough about it to really speak too much on it, but there's a reason why guys on the carnivore diet who have like no sugar and no carbs whatsoever, their bloods don't get hit too hard. And then guys who have a bunch of carbs and sugar in their diet get hit super hard when they add in like eggs and red meat into their diet, in my opinion. And so let's just go over my lipids. So before the diet, I wasn't really, my protein choices were typically egg whites, chicken, some whey protein here and there, and then like random, it just came from like random like trace areas of around the rest of the diet, to be honest. Maybe some turkey once in a while. But so my lipids pre-vertical diet, so cholesterol, the healthy range in Canada, or at least in this province, is 2 to 4.59 millimoles per liter. Let's see, mine was 3.36, so that's fine. LDL, healthy range, 1.5 to 3 millimoles per liter. Mine was 2.46, so not bad, pretty decent. Let's see. Ideally, it would be less than 2, but 2.46 is still acceptable. It's in range. It's not like the best, but it's in the healthy range. HDL, you want greater than 0.99 millimoles per liter. Mine was 0.63, which is low. It needs to be higher than that. And that was one of the things I addressed in my goals of the vertical diet, was to raise my HDL. Reason why it's low, undoubtedly TRT. It just wrecks HDL, and everyone has this. Most guys have it on TRT, and especially guys who blast super physiological amounts. Even just baseline TRT is gonna like hurt your lipid profile a lot. I've used things like citrus bergamot. I've used things like, I do pretty much everything you could think of aside from like taking statins to help my cholesterol, and nothing has really helped bring that HDL up. And I was hoping this diet was going to address that, but I'll get into what actually happened in a sec. Let's see, non-HDL cholesterol was 2.73 millimoles per liter, and my triglycerides were 0.6 millimoles per liter, and they're supposed to be less than 2.21. So everything pre-vertical diet, so this was literally 6 weeks ago, was good, except for the HDL was low. Now let's get into what my labs showed 2 days ago for my lipid profile after. What's different in this diet in terms of things that would wreck my lipids? 4 eggs a day is what I'm eating. So that's a big thing in my opinion. 4 eggs. You have to consider too, okay, there's studies that show that I believe it's like when you have no cholesterol or something in your diet and then you add it, you can expect like a big jump. But once you're at that baseline amount, additional cholesterol above that is not going to impact your lipids negatively or something like that. But anyways, my diet was like totally absent of cholesterol. So that's likely the reason why I got hit so hard. But so keep in mind things that could hurt lipids. I had 4 eggs a day, a pound of ground bison a day, and then the only other like thing I could think of, honestly, there's nothing else I could think of that would hurt them this bad. So cholesterol was, you just heard my results in the previous 6 weeks ago. This was 2 days ago. So this is only like it's like 5.5 weeks into the diet right now, actually, while I'm doing this. So it wasn't 6 weeks, it was like 5.5. And so this blood test was taken at like the 5 week mark. So this is only after 5 weeks of eating these foods. My cholesterol went up to 4.77 millimoles per liter, which is out of range. It's too high. The range ends at 4.59. LDL jumped up to 3.74 millimoles per liter. So it went from like, what was it, 2.46 in the last one to, what was it, 2.46 millimoles per liter, all the way up to 3.74 in 5 weeks. So it's high now. It's way too high. It's the range ends at 3. It's at 3.74. So that like needs to come down now. HDL went up only a little bit and went up to 0.79 millimoles per liter. It's still too low. Cholesterol HDL risk ratio, I'm not even going to that. Non-HDL cholesterol 3.98, and then triglycerides are 0.53. So basically my cholesterol and namely my LDL got totally obliterated by perhaps 4 eggs a day, perhaps red meat, perhaps both. Who can say for certain? The thing is, so I took out all my soluble fiber of the diet because I was basically just, gonna do this thing 100% to a T, how Stan lays it out, because I wanted to see what's gonna happen. Like I want a true indication on my blood work of what this diet's gonna do to me for a guy on TRT who had a very, I'd say, heart healthy diet for a bodybuilder prior to the vertical diet. And the thing is, again, I need to stress the vertical diet, I don't believe I think it's optimized for all areas of health aside from cardiovascular. And the thing is, and that's okay, that's not even a fair assessment. When I say cardiovascular, I don't mean blood pressure. I don't mean pretty much everything to do with heart aside from the potential plaque buildup and kind of like clogging of arteries. Everything else, like my blood pressure is better now. My resting heart rate's a bit lower. Immune system, I feel like, gets better on the diet for sure because you address all micronutrient deficiencies. Basically, everything is like 100% optimized for recovery, muscle mass, gaining size, gaining strength, least digestive stress, hitting micro needs, immune system boost, lowering blood pressure, lowering resting heart rate, everything that you could think of that's good. But then the fact remains that you're having a bunch of carbs and sugar, not a bunch of sugar, but it's like strategically placed sugar alongside all this cholesterol and saturated fat and potentially trans fat, depending on where you're getting the sources of some of your red meat. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the reason why my lipids got destructed so hard, or it's just the total absence of it in my diet before. But I took out, remember, I was taking psyllium husk prior to the vertical diet too. That has some benefit for clearing out cholesterol, and I took that out of the diet because it wasn't in the diet, so I wasn't going to take some supplement that wasn't in the diet. Or I should say food source. It's not really a supplement. So So that might have hurt it as well. So basically, course of action, it's not like I can just hope this is going to get better. Like, it's not going to just, I don't think, I actually messaged Stan myself to see what he had to say. He hasn't got back to me yet. I don't know if he's going to read the message or not. But in the meantime, I have to get that LDL down. I can't just leave it like double what it should be. So course of action in the short term, I want to find out still. I'm not going to just like abandon the diet because there's so many. Everyone thinks this diet is just red meat and rice, but there's so many. The diet itself is like, that's like 10% of the diet. The diet is like the carrots, the cranberry juice, the dairy source, the Greek yogurt for the probiotics, the digestive health, the chicken stock, the this and the that. There's so many little things that you don't see without buying the diet and actually reading through it that you think you know just by listening to podcasts and stuff. But the diet is something I'm gonna do like long term. It's just the stuff that has to do with the lipids is stuff I need to adjust. So I need to adjust the diet. I'm staying on it, but it's being adjusted. So I need to figure out how to get my lipids down without causing nutrient deficiencies because I still want to hit my macros. So what's the course of action? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to determine if it's the eggs or the red meat that's causing, or both, that's causing my issues. So my first guess is eggs. That's my number one guess, is the 4 eggs a day is just killing me. And maybe it's not, but we'll see. So I'm taking out the 4 eggs completely. What am I doing? I'm going to replace them with a cup of oatmeal because I need some soluble fiber back in the diet, and I'm going to add psyllium husk back in. So I'm hoping the combination of dropping the eggs, putting in the oatmeal and the psyllium husk is going to drop my cholesterol a significant amount. And we'll see in a few weeks if that's the case, because these things change pretty quickly in blood work. So I'll be able to tell you for a fact if it was the eggs or not. And then at that point, if my LDL is still elevated, I'm going to drop the red meat. I'm going to replace it with chicken and turkey and who knows what. But we're going to see what happens for now. I'm keeping in the pound of bison for now per day and just dropping the eggs and replacing it. As far as the oatmeal, it's not the most friendly digestive carbohydrate. However, it's high satiety, which is something I need right now. I'm like overeating almost on this diet. I'm hungry all day long, which is, a testament to how well it works for bulking and putting on mass and strength with low digestive stress. Because, you have a fast gastric emptying time and like everything just runs through you perfectly. It's obviously very conducive to eating a large amount of microdense food. But when you're trying to stay lean, it makes it tough because you're hungry all day. So I need something more high satiety anyways. So replacing the eggs with the oatmeal is going to help a lot with that. As far as it not digesting well, the suggestion in the vertical diet is to soak it or like ferment it overnight to like basically, if you do that, it gets handled in the stomach a lot better. But what I'm planning on doing is I'm not going to soak it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to allocate my daily probiotic. I'm going to take it with the oatmeal, and I'm also going to have so you have to have Greek yogurt is in the vertical diet as well for probiotics. So if I have I'm going to allocate my Greek yogurt meal to combining it with the oatmeal meal. And when I do that and adding the probiotic into that meal as well, what that's going to do is it neutralizes the ochratoxin A, which is present if you don't like neutralize it with probiotics apparently. And in addition to that, it's going to help my body process it better, because if it's not, if you just have it raw and you don't have it fermented or whatever, your body doesn't process it that well. But when you have it with the probiotics and you have it with or you have it with yogurt or whatever, your body's going to handle it a lot better. And the ochratoxin is like a non-factor at that point, supposedly. So that's what I'm going to do. It's kind of like the best case scenario of what I'm working with right now. And I mentioned I'm adding the psyllium husk back in too. So I'm going to have like 10 grams extra of soluble fiber per day, getting rid of all the eggs. It should make a significant difference on my blood work, hopefully. as far as nutritional deficiencies caused by not eating the eggs anymore, the vitamin K2 I'm getting via other means already in the diet. The main thing was the choline, but fortunately the supplement I use, the nootropic I developed, Gorilla Mind, it has 600 milligrams of alpha GPC in it per serving. So that's like a significant amount of choline. It's almost my entire dietary intake needs. So that's already fulfilled via supplementation. There's also DMAE, not DMAA, but DMAE, dimethylaminoethanol in it, and other choline and acetylcholine boosters in the product. So that should fulfill the kind of potential nutritional deficiency that would have otherwise been caused by the not having eggs, because eggs is like the way you're getting your choline in if you're not taking it via supplement. So, and even if you didn't, let's just say hypothetically you're in the same scenario and you needed to get eggs out of your diet because you have the same outcome as me, you could just get alpha GPC capsules if you didn't want to get like a full-blown nootropic. Like alpha GPC is sold separately as well, and it's in my opinion the best supplemental form of choline you can get. So highly recommend that as well. So I shouldn't have any issues, fortunately, when it comes to the nutritional outcomes of taking out the eggs. It should only be positive, hopefully. But we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. This video is running a bit long, but I wanted to keep you guys all updated on what's going on. And I did get an electrocardiogram done as well, and I'm waiting for the results on that. I also did a DHT test just for hair loss related stuff, which is probably unrelated to things that you care about if you're watching vertical diet logs. But for my hair loss guys, that'll be indicative of some interesting stuff that I'm kind of experimenting on as well. So anyways, thank you guys for keeping up and subscribing. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Check out my site, moreplatesmoredates.com, where I log everything in written form, and I have all my in-depth articles there that aren't in video form. And if you want to try the vertical diet, I'm going to include the link where you can download it below and get it from Stan's site where you can purchase it. Yeah. One thing I do want to stress, though, is just because my lipids got hurt like really badly, it doesn't discredit the diet whatsoever. Like, you guys need to understand that there's so many areas in the human body that you need to address and hit with micronutrient needs to like check when you get all your ducks in a row. And a lot of things contradict other things. Like if you're taking, you're eating a bunch of red meat, you're doing this, you're doing that to increase, like mTOR, IGF-1, doing all these things that encourage muscle protein synthesis, increase nitrogen retention. All these things are great for muscle and recovery, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, they're potential exacerbators of cancer and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a double-edged sword when you deal with this stuff. So you guys have to understand that. So just because, one guy has like a bad outcome on his lipids, it doesn't mean like a million other things didn't improve because of, like, you just have to find your happy medium and prioritize for your own life and your individual goals. Because it's like, even me sitting here at 210 pounds at, 9% body fat, is so way more unhealthy than if I just dropped like 50 pounds of muscle. Like, I would, if I was a runner and I just like, stopped caring about being like somewhat muscular, like I'd probably have a healthier heart because of it. But does that mean I shouldn't, do what I'm doing? No, you have to like prioritize things based on your individual goals. So I'm still happy with what's going on. I'm going to continue with it. I'm just going to adjust it accordingly so then I don't, have a screwed up cholesterol profile. So anyways, I'll keep you guys posted. I'm going to have updated blood work again in a few weeks and hopefully have some good news in regards to that. So anyways, yeah, I'll keep you guys posted and I'll talk to you soon.